everyone, Ivy Lee Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir's Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to give you guys a tier list of who to pick from the Horn event. Alright, so let's go on in here. Let's just kick this off by doing a horn blow. I have a whole bunch I need to do, as you can see. I can't seem to get an epic though ever since they released all the new ones. But hey, there's a lot added to the mix. So what you're going to be doing, if you haven't already, is you are going to be selecting a hero from the list for what you need for your account, what you want to start off your account. Make sure you are connected to a Google account or something, or else it's just lost in space. It does, if you haven't selected already, when you go to select, it will tell you to bind your account. So that's going to be the email address or whatever that you need to connect to when the event goes live. And well, I want to help you guys to make those decisions. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I've actually put together like a tier list for the heroes that we can get from the Horn event. Not every single one of them, but the majority of the epics plus all the legendaries that are possible to pull from the Horn. There are only, well, one hero from each element that you can actually pull from the Horn, which same is true in the in-game itself. And we're going to talk about a couple different strategies with making your decisions. So I'm going to read the note I have here. And this is going to be something I link in the description and pin comment. Plus, I'll put it on my Discord. And yeah, I will make a channel on my Discord now as well for helping people decide. But if you get someone that's on this list, you make your own decision based on my list. But if you don't get anyone on my list and you still need help deciding, that's when I will help you. But that's the whole point. I'm making this reference so I can help people as easily as possible make your choices based on my personal experience in the game. Also just comparing other old tier lists from other people, reading comments in the Discord about heroes that I'm not as familiar with, seeing what other people have to say. And yeah, when it comes down to it, we have a whole batch of new heroes, so we have to analyze those kits as well. So let me read my notes on this page. So, the advice can go a couple of ways. Number one, if you get a legendary, just pick it. It's hard to get legendary heroes in this game, and if you get a dupe, at the very least, excuse me. And if you get a dupe, at the very least, if it's a bad hero, you can use that dupe to get a high-quality artifact, like the Defense Penalty 2 debuff one called Witch's Remains, which is the only way to get that decreased defense type debuff in the game. Buffs and changes could come, and a weak legendary could potentially become better. So at the end of the day, that's one way to look at this. If you get gold, just take it, even if it's a bad one. But there's another way to look at this, which is the way I'm actually going with for this tier list. Number two, some epics are much better than some of these legendary heroes. So if you want something that can truly help your progression and be used in the end game, picking the legendary might not be the best choice. Plus, you can't guarantee you'll ever get a dupe to help you get a legendary artifact in the future. So it's best to pick who's the best hero for progression, regardless of rarity. In this game, epics and rares are actually viable for endgame content. And that's where I put the note in here. Personally, I prefer number two as the method for advice because, and that's what this list is based on, some of the epics are a must for endgame and can make everything so much easier. For example, you'd use a Fruboth as a tank in 90% of places over Talwar. Talwar in Arena at best, you might decide to use him instead of Fruboth. So why would you pick Talwar over Fruboth if Fruboth can help you literally everywhere in the game? It was one of the best epics in the game that's a legendary in disguise. Why would you pick a really meh, boring, lackluster, not really a great tank legendary just because he's a legendary? That I don't think is the answer. So that's what I'm going with for this discussion. Also, there's a big note here. There's a large batch of heroes that were added to the pool in the mid-horn event. Like, we had a few days of the Horn event, and then they threw a whole bunch of new heroes to the pool that no one even knows because they're brand new. So no one has played these heroes, but I'm giving my best advice based on looking at their kits only. So I will note that next to them if they are a Season 1 hero. So I'm going to scroll through this fairly quickly. I'm not going to take the time to read every single thing because that's pointless. You guys can do that on your own. We're going to talk about some of the best stuff and talk about the way I organized this list, though. And I think I've done a pretty good job. And the thing is, what I mention here with epics and rares is physical evidence that they are amazing in at least the end game gear raids. Stage 9, the hardest place to be able to farm for the best gear possible. I physically went through, recorded video, did screenshots, and took a look at which heroes were being used for all the Stage 9, for the different types of gear dungeons, which include just like the different, like the attack, the support, that there's like a debuffer, accuracy, resistance 1, 2. And then there's the positive and negative rune dungeons that are very hard. And there were some epics, and rares to be fair, but I'm not putting rares on this list, that pop up though, that surprised me. So ones that I would have not put on this list, but because I physically saw them in many successful suggested team comps, they're obviously great for that content, and that alone could be worth picking them for. So on that note, we're going to start off here. I have my tier list set up with kind of S, A, and B. And to note, we are not putting Horus, who is a fire tank unit, on the list because he has been a free login reward hero. So I'm assuming he's still going to be a login reward hero. If he wasn't, he would definitely be on the list because he's a part of a lot of teams. He's great in arena. He's a solid tank in most cases, although most people still would opt for Furboth if you get him. But because he is a login hero, I don't think, or at least was, and they told us most of that stuff is gonna stay the same, I don't think you should pick anyone that could be a login hero. So pretty much for my list, it's mostly in order. As I put, approximate order of my opinion is, if I got these people, which one would I pick? That's kind of how I went about this. Like, if I did not have these characters on my account, who would I want to grab? This is kind of that basis for this list. But I guess when it comes down to it, like the A section, like the first half of the A section versus the second half of the A section, like they're kind of mix and match a little bit. Like these last few, you could kind of really decide. Same thing with the B section, like anywhere mid down, you could kind of scramble those up. Top down, you could probably scramble those up, or maybe even most of the B section, you could pretty much choose any of them over another, just depending on which element you like better, what kit sounds better, what sounds more fun, who you like more, based on my notes. That's kind of how I have this broken out. So as we go through here, I have notes. So like, when it comes to the legendaries, Felicity and Sutha are probably the best options, pretty solidly, I would say. Not probably, they are the best options. Felicity, high DPS, great in a wild team. Sutha as well, great synergy with Dauntless teams and great high single target DPS. Voresh is probably one of the best heroes in the game, who is definitely a legendary in disguise. I would 100% pick Voresh, Furboth, Garius, who sounds like, we'll talk about it, who sounds like the radiant version of Furboth, and Tunnelnon over the other legendaries listed. I can't imagine you would use the other legendaries more than you would use these 4 champions. So Tunnelnon is a top tier wild DPS. He does better damage than Flora when there's less wild heroes in the team. Flora kind of needs another addition to do more damage, even though she's probably one of the best heroes in the game overall. But Tunnelnon surprises me. He does the best damage in my team when I was playing around with the wild heroes, and I do have Flora and Erich as well. So this is kind of how I have it broken out. But let's give the example of a hero that we don't have in-game, Garius. So Garius is a radiant hero. Radiance is the element. Season 1, he sounds like a radiant tank version of Furboth, plus a cleanse and heal for all allies. So one thing with Furboth is he only heals at least as an AoE heal, things that are melee, things that are close to him in range, or like everybody in Vortex maybe. That's about it. But this guy has a full board heal for all allies, and he cleanses like 2 debuffs, I believe it is, which is amazing. Dispelling debuffs is huge. He just sounds like he could be an absolute monster. And yeah, the Radiant version of Furboth. So I had to put him up there. I would absolutely grab him if I got a chance. But you also have to think about synergy. So next season, Fire and Poison are going to have synergy. And I think that's going to be the strongest bond. The Fire heroes, we get a couple for free. We get Horus, and we get the legendary Erich for free. Poison, they start you off with Hexandra, who's a rare healer that's one of the best healers in the game, used in endgame content, even though she's only a rare. And they also give you Notira, who's actually can be extremely surprising in the damage she can output. When she kills an enemy, then does splash damage, she can actually really smack, and it probably is a bit underrated. And personally, my favorite was Eli, who was a rare, who had AoE damage. That was the first hero I even took to level 100 on my account, was a rare. So I think Poison and Fire are going to be amazing. If you get lucky and you get Felicity or Flora or Tunnelnon or Elfie, a new hero that sounds like a must for wild teams, then Fire is going to be your element for damage, and Poison with Furboth and Hexandra, or I would say Garion, sounds like a new top tier healer and support for Poison teams. That's going to kind of be a go-to, I think. I think it's going to be very strong to have that kind of a synergy. But later in the game, you're going to want a full team of all fire, a full team of all lightning, a full team of all ice, etc. And you can actually have 6 full teams to fight the final boss at the very end of the season. So that means building up to 30 heroes fully built to the max is the potential end goal if you really want to pump out the most damage you can against the boss. So it's good. It gives us stuff to work for. I wish we knew that last season. But yeah, I'm not going to continue going through all of this. I have a ton of notes here. You guys can take a look at my notes and my thoughts, and that might help you decide if you have multiple heroes on this list. Hopefully my little notes can help you decide. If you're still struggling against maybe a couple that are close together, it's really going to come down to just the element. If you have a certain synergy that sounds fun to you, like Lightning have Dauntless units, which are mostly single target based, but do fast attacks, lots of attack speed. Necrosis have Summoners, which is really fun. Who doesn't love a Necromancer, right? Fire has Wild, which is just like a chance to do extra damage proc that synergizes together. Same thing with Rally. It's like Rally is like a kind of a buff. It's like yeah. When people are under Rally, they have special skills. It kind of enables skills. And then Poison heroes have the Poison debuff as well. Ice, there is something called Frost heroes that deal extra damage when enemies are under Frost, or synergize when heroes are under Frost kind of thing, or for every Frost applied, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of cool synergy between every single element, and that's what makes the game so unique. So you kind of got to decide what you're going to go with once you start acquiring heroes, and maybe one of the heroes you get from the Horn are going to be that deciding factor. Maybe you'll start off strong with a really good epic at least, and that will set you up for success throughout the whole time. But all right, guys, I think I'm going to stop here. I will link this tier list again in the description and the pinned comment, and in my YouTube, or my Discord, I will make this section for helping people decide who to pull from the Horn. And I really hope this is helpful. This is 100% not a perfect order. I don't need people debating like crazy in the comments. Oh, this person should be above this person a little bit. It's not 100% perfect order, just more a little bit of a general area, you know. It's not 100% the perfect order, but at least it really helps people to get an idea of who's good. Hopefully you can get at least one of these people summoned on this list with all these epics involved. I would certainly be unlucky if you didn't, but if you didn't, let me know and I'll help you guys in my Discord decide who to grab. I would say don't worry about grabbing rares because you're going to do a ton of summons with Starlight Die and you are going to get rares. So don't worry about saving rares, even the best ones like my Eli. I think you're gonna have no trouble getting them in general, just by doing normal summons, which happen a lot more frequently than the Heliolite die where you have a chance to get a legendary. But that's all for today's video, guys. I hope my spreadsheet and tier list is helpful, and I'll see you in the next video and live for global launch.